Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I plan on reading in September. Now I am being very ambitious with this stack of books because I start back at work on September the 1st. For those of you who don't know, I am a primary school teacher, meaning that I have had 6 weeks off over summer, which has been lovely, let me tell you. But it's time to face the reality once again. I'm going back to work. Teaching is a very intense job and I do often bring a lot of work home with me, and I have been finding it hard these past few months to balance my work life and my reading life. So we'll see how this TBR goes. I have chosen a few different books though that I hope will keep my interest and will make me want to read when I have some spare time, but I am definitely being a little bit unrealistic here because as well as my set TBR, I do have an extra 2 books that I would like to read, which I will quickly mention at the end of this video. So we'll see about those. However, I do have a bit of a theme going on here. Summer is now over, we are getting into the colder wintry months, and when I think of September I instantly think of dark academia, and so you will see that a few of these books do fall under that category. However, I do have some other ones as well that I do just want to read because they're part of a series that I'm reading or that I'm just generally excited to read and want to get to them as soon as possible. So without further ado, I am just going to dive into the stack, otherwise I could ramble on for a while. The first book I'm planning on reading in September is a chunky one, but that one is 6 Tudor Queens, Anna of Cleve, Queen of Secrets by Alison Weir. This is book number 4 in the 6 Tudor Queens series, and I don't know if these vlogs are up yet, but I recently read the second book following Anne Boleyn and the third book following Jane Seymour. I had started reading the second book last year, I want to say, but I put it down for some reason. However, I picked it back up again at the start of last month and I just fell in love with it, guys. I got sucked in and I would really like to continue on with this series, meaning that this is the next book that I would need to get to. In case you couldn't tell, this series follows 6 queens who were all wives of King Henry VIII. I feel like if you're learning about the Tudor era or someone brings it up, they of course mention Henry VIII. He is a very well-known figure, however the women that he was married to often get overlooked, and so Alison Weir has taken it upon herself to write the story from the women's perspectives. It focuses on them growing up as children, them then going to court and meeting Henry VIII, and ultimately how they met their fates. I've really enjoyed all of the books that I've read so far, but I definitely am more familiar with the first 3 queens than I am with the last 3 queens. So I'm excited to see what I think of this book. I don't really know too much about Anne of Cleves, to be honest with you, so I'm hoping that this book does shed some light on her and give me an insight into what her life was like. Alison Weir is a historian, so she does know her stuff, and she also includes a list of references and things like that she has used in order to compile these novels. So whilst this is a historical fiction book, it is still pretty accurate to what went on and is one of the best representations of the women that I know of personally. I've loved the first 3 books, can't wait to dive into this one. Hopefully I will fly through it as I did with the second and third books, because as I mentioned, this one is pretty chunky. I am starting work again, and if I could fly through it that would be great, because the last thing I need right now is to fall into a kind of reading slump. But I'm hoping that because of my love for the other books and the fact that I'm familiar with Alison Weir's writing style and the setup of these novels, then I should fly through this one, and I'm very excited to learn more about Anna of Cleve. The next book I have is one that has been on quite a few TBRs over the years and I've still not gotten to it, so I am determined to do so this year, guys, and that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is of course a classic, and I feel like that's what's been putting me off. I'm definitely daunted by classics. I feel like I'm not smart enough to read them, but this premise has always been one that's intrigued me, and I feel like September is going to be the perfect time to read it because it's not quite a spooky novel, but I feel like it's just about there. It's creepy, it's gothic, and I'm definitely here for it. For this one, it just says, Oscar Wilde's only novel tells of Dorian Gray, a beautiful yet corrupt man. When he wishes that a perfect portrait of himself would bear the signs of aging in his place, the picture becomes his hideous secret, as it follows Dorian's own downward spiral into cruelty and depravity. The Picture of Dorian Gray is a masterpiece of the evil in men's hearts and is as controversial and alluring as Wilde himself. That just sounds really interesting to me. It is a pretty short novel, but as I mentioned, it is a classic, and I feel like they can be quite hard to read and quite dense. So maybe I'll save this one to read more towards the end of the month, because I feel like hopefully I will have read a few of these books by then, so I can dive into this one and finish off the month with it. That's my goal at least. Whether it will happen, I don't know, but I really do want to prioritise this. It's one that has been on my shelves for years, and it's a story that's always intrigued me over over the years. I hear so many references to it, and I would like to know why this book is so proclaimed. Next up we have Peril at End House by Agatha Christie, and this is the next Hercule Poirot book that I need to read. For those of you who don't know, Hercule Poirot is a Belgian detective who finds himself in lots of situations where he does need to solve crimes, mainly murder, but there are some different ones thrown in there as well. And as I mentioned, this is the next book that I need to read. I have read the first 7 books. For those of you who are interested, the reading order I follow is the one on the back, so I definitely have a long way to go yet before I finish off these books. But after finishing Black Coffee last month, this is the next book that I'm going to dive into. From what I can gather, in this one we are following someone who has had a lot of very strange near-death experiences in a very short span of time, and one day when a bullet hole is discovered in one of her hats, Hercule Poirot comes to her aid and offers her some protection. Once he inserts himself into the girl's life, he does soon begin to unravel a murder that hasn't happened yet. So that just sounds amazing. I feel like it's going to be a really intriguing book. You guys know I love these. I am going to grab the audiobook for this one because I definitely will be needing my audiobooks again now that I'm starting work. I have a half-an-hour commute to work, so I can listen to an hour of this each day just to and from work, which will definitely help me get through this TBR. But I'm very excited for this one. Can't wait to follow Hercule Poirot on another one of his cases, and hopefully I can figure out who the potential murderer is going to be. The next book I'm planning on reading in September is Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this, you guys, and ever since I bought it I've been meaning to pick it up. However, I've been busy. I've had a lot of other books that I needed to prioritize, but this is the month. I'm so excited to put it on this TBR, and I genuinely cannot wait to get to it. All I really know about this book is that we follow 2 characters, and when one of them dies, the other steals her manuscript and decides to publish it under her own name. But then, as evidence threatens this character's stolen success, she discovers how far she will actually go to keep this a secret and to keep this life that she's built. Again, that just sounds amazing. It says white lies, dark humor, deadly consequences. What happens next is entirely everyone else's fault. I'm so excited for this. It does potentially sound like it could be a murder mystery thriller book. I'm not quite sure which genre this one falls under, but I'm so excited to get to it. I have heard nothing but amazing things. I haven't actually read anything by R.F. Kuang yet, which I know is awful. I do have the Poppy War trilogy, I just haven't read them yet, and I do have another book in this stack actually, which you may have been able to tell what it is from the thumbnail, but I will mention that in a second. So I'm extremely happy to be reading this one now. Also, how beautiful is the Waterstones exclusive edition? I am obsessed. But I'm hoping that this will be a fast-paced book. It is quite a short one, and I'm just hoping that it's going to be exactly what I need in a month where I'm extremely busy. And then the next R.F. Kuang book that I'm planning on reading is, of course, Babel. It is going to be a very ambitious one for me though, because this is massive. This is a dark academia book though. I did start to read this a few months back, but I didn't carry on with it because I just wasn't in the mood for it, and because it's such a big book and because of how detailed and intricate I feel like the plot is going to be, I did put it down until I felt like I was ready to read it, and the time has now come. I am going to read you the synopsis of this one because I don't really know too much about it. I haven't really looked into it. All I know is that it's a dark academia book by R.F. Kuang, and I was sold. It says, an act of translation is always an act of betrayal. Oxford 1836, the city of dreaming spires. It's the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and at its heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel a paradise, until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? Love the sound of that. Don't actually know where it's gonna go, but I'm definitely here for it. This is another one where I'm considering getting the audiobook for it, just because it's a big book, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna love it as much if I just listen to the audiobook, so I'm having a few doubts. If you have listened to it, please do let me know your thoughts on it, because it would definitely make my reading life easier if I could listen to it audibly. However, I want to make sure that I'm getting the full experience of this book. So yes, if you've listened to it, please do let me know. Very excited for this one though. Again, heard nothing but amazing things. I feel like it is going to be one that sticks with me and that is quite powerful, so hopefully that is the case. I am just scared of its size, but once I start reading I should just fall into the world and fall in love with it. And yeah, I honestly cannot wait. I've been putting this book off for way too long, and I'm so glad now to be putting it on a set TBR so that I can hopefully read it this month. And then the last book that I'm going to put on my set TBR for the month is another dark academia book. This one is If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and again, this is one that I've heard nothing but amazing things about. I honestly couldn't tell you a single thing about this book. It's just that when people talk about dark academia, they immediately recommend this one and say that it's one of the best books ever. So I did buy myself a lovely edition of this book when it came out. I believe it's a collector's edition or an anniversary edition. It doesn't actually say, but it is signed by the author. We have black sprayed edges, there is a ribbon bookmark in there which you can't see, and we have really cool end pages. So this is one that I'm hoping that I will like because I really adore this edition. I feel like it's just so dark and creepy, and that is definitely what I'm wanting to start reading. This definitely does sound like my type of thing though, because it is another murder mystery from what I can gather, where we follow a group of students who are in a Shakespeare play. They have their set roles, however one day the teacher changes up the casting and rivalry starts between all of these friends. It says, when tragedy strikes, one of the 7 friends is found dead. The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless. From that synopsis alone, this should be a new favourite of mine. It has everything that I would want in a book, and it is another one that is relatively short, not that you can see because of the black pages, but I'm hoping the mystery element of it will make it a fast-paced read. The setting and atmosphere will be just what I want for September, and so hopefully this is another one that I can actually read this month, and again, I would love for it to become a new favourite of mine. As I mentioned, I do have 2 more books that I am trying to fit onto this month's TBR as well, however I'm not sure how that's going to go. But the first book is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, and the second book is going to be Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. Now I don't have Halloween Party, unfortunately. It's the one Poirot book that I don't own, and that is because the new film A Haunting in Venice is coming out and they have decided to change the cover. So I have pre-ordered this lovely edition that you can see on screen now. But the reason I would like to get to these 2 books is, one, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone was on my holiday TBR and unfortunately I didn't manage to get to it, but I'm desperate to read it. And secondly, they are both books of the month for Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin's Patreon. Now I've never really gone towards Patreon, to be honest with you, but I'm really trying to support different creators when I can, and Gavin is a creator that I've always loved. You guys know if you've seen his videos, which I'm guessing you have. He is just brilliant. He's so funny and he's also very relatable, and I have actually booked a place on his trip to Egypt as well, so I feel like joining his Patreon would just be a really nice way to support him, connect with him, get extra content, and of course read some books that I've been wanting to read for a while. Now I have read Halloween Party, but it was about 2-3 years ago. I read it on my Kindle, I want to say, so I don't actually remember too much of the plot, but I am planning on reading that one. It's another murder mystery book following Detective Hercule Poirot, and then we have this one where, as you can tell by the title, everyone in this family has killed someone, and when they get together for a family reunion, someone ends up dead. I feel like this is going to be a more comedic, humorous take on the murder mystery genre, at least that's what I've gotten from the synopsis, so I'm definitely hoping that's the case. I feel like it's going to be really nice to talk about this book with Gavin and his fellow patrons, so this is one that I will again hopefully be reading. I'm forgetting that I'm going to have a massive workload just thrown on me again in this first month, but it's good to be ambitious, isn't it? I would love to get to this one. Halloween Party, I'm not too mad if it carries over into next month, however I would like to try and solve it alongside Gavin as Patreon, so we shall see. But yes, these are the 2 books that are kind of a maybe. I don't want to put them on my set TBR, but if Gavin has a set page count for a week or whatever, I will try my best to meet that so that I can read these 2 books and share my thoughts on them with Gavin as Patreons and with you guys as well. So there we have it, guys. These are all of the books that I'm planning on reading in September, as well as Halloween Party if I can manage to fit it on. It is definitely an ambitious stack, guys, but I have fallen in love with reading again these past few weeks. I'm really hoping to try and incorporate it more into my routine now so that it's a set thing that I do, because I just haven't been giving it the time when I've been working, so I am going to try and make sure to do that so that hopefully I can get through all of these and share my thoughts on them with you guys. If you have read any of the books that I've shown in this video, please do leave me your spoiler-free thoughts on them down below. I love chatting to you guys about all the different books, and your comments definitely sway the reading order, so please do go ahead and do that if you have some thoughts that you'd like to share. In terms of the emoji for the video, I've decided to go for some eyes just because of how striking the yellow face cover is. You can also put a yellow heart or a yellow emoji next to it if you want as well. I say it all the time, but seeing you guys comment the emoji of the video truly does mean the world to me. So if you don't have anything in particular that you would like to say, but you would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and do that now. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!